Welcome back to New World Next Week. I'm James Corbett of CorbettReport.com.
And I am James Evan Pilato of MediaMonarchy.com. I know my rights, and I have a right to protest. We have that story plus building a better Bilderberger, but first, nearly 8,000 killed in Syria within 6 months. Grabbing this from Zero Hedge, at least 7,670 people, mostly civilians, have been killed in Syria since the fall of former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's government and the establishment of a new transitional authority, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights has documented in a new report. According to the War Monitor, the number includes more than 2,130 extrajudicial executions and identity-based killings, which is horrifying sounding. It warned of a pattern of organized violence across the country. The report documents the killing of 7,670 people across Syria from the 8th of December 2024 to just the 6th of June 2025, adding that among those killed are 5,784 civilians, including 306 children and 422 women. The War Monitor also warned this grim toll is the result of ongoing violence and violations by local and external parties, alongside widespread security chaos, which reflects the fragility of the security situation and the increasing danger to the most vulnerable constituents of society. The over 2,130 executions were committed in brutal ways, as you might expect. Security situation in Syria remains tense 6 months after Assad's ouster. And a few other related notes, James, before I throw it to you. Without accountability, Syria's sectarian violence will only worsen. That's from Washington Institute. Even the Washington Post reports Syrian leader faces challenges of foreign militants who helped him win power. And isn't that always the way? You gotta watch for the gangsters that put you in because they can take you out. And Syria, welcome back, because of course, you can't come back unless you've got some banking. Syria, welcome back to the SWIFT banking system. James, pretty dark story to get us going here on New World Next Week.
A dark story, but a strangely familiar one. James? Neocon, neolib, bloodthirsty warmongers slavering at the chops to get their munitions into a country because, won't somebody think of the poor oppressed people? So they bomb the country to smithereens for years, completely decimate it, fund terrorist insurrection, then completely forget about it as the country falls to pieces. Mission accomplished. Yeah, where have we heard that story before, huh, James? Oh, that's right. Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Syria. Basically, all of the countries on General Wesley Clark's 7 countries in 5 years hit list, or at least most of them so far. It's been a bit more than 5 years, but, they might be behind schedule, but they're working on it. So, yes, this is not some sort of, pat on the back, yeah, you see, I was right kind of moment. This is it's so galling. It's so obvious what is happening. And I can't really believe that the public really is falling for it anymore. Oh no, won't somebody think of the poor Syrians? We better go and fund literal Al-Qaeda, terrorist beheaders, heart eaters, just the worst scum on the planet. We better befriend them and then put them into power. The guy with the $10 million bounty on his head is now suddenly the president, and Trump's meeting with him, and yay, we're all buddy-buddies now. And yes, what is the absolute... just the most obvious part of all of this, exactly as you say. Yeah, now they're back on the SWIFT network. For those who don't know, the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, the network that processes international bank transfers and payments and what have you. Without being on the SWIFT network, basically a nation is cut off from international commerce, more or less. And so, because it is such a vital system, SWIFT is completely not related to any government. It's totally a non-political institution, blah, blah, blah. But what are the countries that that have been delisted in the past decade and a half? Syria, Iran, Russia. Oh yeah, all of the people on the deep state target list. But guess who was specifically not delisted back in 2014? Israel, of course, because Palestinian protesters are saying, hey, let's delist Israel. All the human rights organizations are admitting it is an apartheid state at this point. Can we delist them from SWIFT? No. We're not political guys. We don't do that. So this is where the rubber meets the road, and we find out what this system really is, what it's really about, how it really operates. for anyone who wasn't paying attention over the past decade or two, this entire Syria debacle is a good case study of exactly how this system works. If people need some background on that, just type Syria into the Corp Report search engine. You'll have many, many, many reports, including one that I did last year as this whole Syria PSYOP was winding up, basically summarizing the situation. But, you know, what else can you say other than, oh, I hope the BRICS can save us with some sort of digital reserve, international reserve currency. We won't need SWIFT anymore once we're on CIPS or whatever nonsense they try to replace it with, right? Anyway, I'm not holding my breath for that. I'm not holding my breath for anyone who was calling for the decimation of Syria to now actually care about the Syrian people. I am, unfortunately, bracing for the utter collapse of Syria into complete civil war. But then again, hey, maybe that's just what it's been doing for the past decade and a half. Anyway, welcome to the new world order, same as the old.
And how little news there is about it. It's not news anymore. Russia, Ukraine, Israel, all of that pretty much steals the headlines. And I'm not saying that's unjustified, but it's just night and day with the amount of coverage and information. It's like trying to find information about Yemen or something. I was trying to craft some joke here in the transition to come up with, from SWIFT and BRICS banks to pallets of bricks. As we go from one war zone to another, mass arrests as defiant immigration protesters ignore lockdown orders in Los Angeles. Just kind of grabbing a general overview story from the Daily Mail, because, of course, I got to go to get British coverage of an American story. As obviously one that is developing rather rapidly. The Los Angeles Police Department, and again, James, as we've talked about, to trick people into the position of going, yeah, I support the guys who ran crack with the CIA through the city. They're the good guys now. The Los Angeles Police Department announced it is conducting mass arrests as defiant immigration rioters defied curfew Tuesday night. That is last night to me here in the States. Mayor Karen, indeed, her name is Karen Bass, declared earlier in the day that downtown Los Angeles would be under a curfew through 8 p.m. through 6 a.m. today, Wednesday, to stop vandalism, to stop the looting after more than 20 businesses were vandalized the night before. But protesters remained on the scene, with one man in his early 20s telling Daily Mail, I know my rights and am willing to be arrested unjustly. I have a right to be here and protest. James, I think a lot of people might say that until the kettling and the boxing in all happens. And man, they're still doing the same moves they've done at protests for, almost the last 20 years. Remember the situation in Chicago years back? They kettled in a bunch of people and we just, shoved them in a giant warehouse. Sorry if you got all kinds of sickness and illness and God knows what else from that warehouse. I think they won a lot of those court cases. The LAPD has since said the group remained in the downtown area are being addressed and mass arrests are being initiated. And I've said this a million times on my morning show, James, if never here in New World Next Week. Back when we were doing a little bit of protesting in Portland, we did the Obama surge protest. Remember when Obama was going to add thousands of troops to Afghanistan because it was the right war? That was a protest I was involved with in Portland. And even the situation with the marches against Monsanto, you'll find yourself at a certain point where all these people who weren't in your group get out in front of your parade and say, let's be violent, let's go that way, the permit, blah, 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 blah. Somehow, it always shows up. The LAPD has since said the groups that remain in the downtown area are being addressed and mass arrests are being initiated. In a separate post, it added that dozens of arrests has already been made for failing to disperse at the scene of an unlawful assembly, and it multiplied last night. It had gone from essentially just being Los Angeles to up in Denver, of course up in Chicago, and things are getting their way, I would say, by the weekend to, of course, Philly and New York and New Jersey. Tuesday marked the 5th day in a row police declared the protests of ICE raids an unlawful assembly as California Governor Gavin Newsom tries to get the National Guard out of the City of Angels. Trump has called in the National Guard. Typically speaking, the governors get to do that. We are now closing this live page following updates on another night of chaos and disruption in Los Angeles, says Daily Mail. In summary, here's what happened earlier. The LAPD announced on social media is making mass arrests as protesters defied curfew. Karen Bass declared a local emergency for the fifth day of protest, expected to last for days. Police deployed officers on horseback. Always a really, really good look, and used crowd control projectiles to break up groups of hundreds demonstrating against President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown. Honestly, James, to look at a lot of the footage, and I've had the YouTube live streams going while I'm doing show prep for my own morning shows, it's not that many people really at all. So, of course, the news needs something exciting to show, so they'll follow and chase anything around, even if it's not really that much. California Governor Gavin Newsom accused Trump of drawing a military dragnet across the nation's second biggest city with this escalating use of the National Guard. Newsom has asked a court to put an emergency stop to the military helping federal immigration raids after a hearing set for tomorrow. He delivered a harrowing prediction for the rest of the country Tuesday night in an emotionally charged televised address. He does look like he's going to cry. As demonstrations spread to other cities, including Dallas and Austin, Chicago, and New York, where 1,000 people rallied and multiple arrests were made. In Texas, Israel Firster and Republican Governor Greg Abbott's office said Texas National Guard troops were on standby in areas where demonstrations are planned. And of course, the memes come raining down. Nobody loves Mexico like the people who refuse to live there. Whew. James, we watched, because it's media monarchy, we watched John Carpenter's Escape from L.A. in Monarchy on Monday night. I thought it was going to be terrible. It was pretty amazing. We kept joking, this is the live stream. This is the live stream that's going to be happening by the weekend. The weekend, Friday the 13th. Saturday is Flag Day, and it is, of course, Trump's birthday. Der Fuhrer likes to put on giant shows for himself, so it's going to be a meeting of the blind versus the stupid over this weekend. James, I don't know. It's redonkulous. What do you think from the other side of the world on this?
Redonkulous is about the word I used to summarize it. You make some good points there, James. One of which is, as you point out, of course, who cares if there's 10,000 or 100,000 peaceful people marching around doing nothing much in particular? That's not news. No, it's got to be the 30 people who are breaking windows and looting or whatever. That's the news. That's the story. So unfortunately, that if it bleeds, it leads, or if it burns, it churns. I don't know. We got to come up with another phrase for that. But anyway, that mentality is a mentality that has survived from the old dinosaur media into the new, brave new world internet media paradigm, where, of course, social media is just going to show you instances of the most spectacular and violent whatever as a way of hyping it up and pumping it up. So that logic still holds. Also, you're right to point out, great. So now we're back at the right side of the controlled left-right paradigm. Now we're back in the blue. Of course, the LAPD, the crack runners and, CIA drug smuggler abettors from back in the day, and people that you'd think people who are anti-authoritarian would know better than to support. But now they're supporting them because it's against those damn libs, right? And hey, now we've got half of the population that have been asleep for the past several years are suddenly waking up and going, hey, maybe authoritarianism is a bad thing. And how does the executive have all this power? I can't imagine how all this power accrued. Yay, wonderful. We get to play that merry-go-round yet again. And hey, guess what? In 4 or 8 years, it'll just flip and we'll be back at the old paradigm, which was the new paradigm, which is the old paradigm. Anyway, it's nonsense. It's redonkulous is the only word I can use because it's stupid and it makes me feel stupider for even having to talk about this nonsense. The only thing that's really of interest and import is, James, you're there in the belly of the beast. Tell us how long until Civil War 2.0 breaks out in earnest.
Well, I'm not sure, because over the last 20 years, I could see that things maybe weren't going to get better before they got a whole lot worse. So I've moved out into the boonies where there is not a neighbor for a mile around. So much like COVID, it won't really happen all that much around here, he said. Hopefully, yes, I am in northern New Mexico. I am a ways away from any kind of border action. But yeah, James, those And I gotta say, of course, being a longtime podcaster and alternative media maker, celebrating my 20th year of media monarchy, seeing YouTube streamers that just showed up a couple of years ago with 30,000 live viewers last night, more than mainstream media. I believe that is the technical term. I'm a word nerd. Envy and jealousy are different things. Envy is wanting what someone else has. Jealousy is worried someone's going to take away what you have. I am jealous of the new crop of alternative media and YouTube streamers coming to eat my lunch. But yeah, there was some event in LA the other night where they followed this minivan because it's maybe doing something. And it's the sort of the funniest, most exciting, and simultaneously most ridiculous thing you feel like while you're watching it. It's reminding me a bit of the Trump and Brandon debates from last year. It's like, this is the best television I have seen since then. And you said it. Where does all this come from? The blank check of 9/11. We often bemoan that alternative media has lost its way over these last 20 years. For me, James, and I can speak for you a little bit, this all came from 9/11. We started doing what we're doing right here because of 9/11. And it wasn't about a party. We could see this goes deeper than party. And all those bits from Bush get passed on to Obama. So to see articles of Trump's going to end posse comitatus is like, homies, you are late. Obama already pretty much dragged the last nail in that coffin with the setup from the previous guy. One of them loads the gun, the other one pulls the trigger. And what could be behind all of these events and more? I knew it. It's the Bilderbergs. No mystery behind booking of entire Grand Hotel in Stockholm. I like that headline from SwedenHerald.com. And again, all the things we talk about always linked up down in the show notes, as I say about my own broadcast. If you can't hand off my crazy ranting to your friends and family, use the links as the resources that we put together for you. It is the Bilderberg Group, a closed forum for the world's elite from Europe and North America that has booked the entire luxurious Grand Hotel in central Stockholm from Tuesday, June 10th, all the way to Sunday, June 15th. What is the Bilderberg Group? The Bilderberg Group, also called the Bilderberg Meeting or Bilderberg Conference, is an annual closed meeting with around 120 to 150 invited guests from the world's political, economic, and intellectual elite. The group was founded in 1954 to promote dialogue between Europe and North America and strengthen relations without pesky input from the poors who are out spray painting businesses and causing problems to their own neighbors. Why does the elite meet in this way? I got some problems with that question. The group's original goal at its founding in 1954 was to promote dialogue between Europe and North America, strengthen relations, and prevent a new world war. Today, the agenda is to strengthen Western free market capitalism and interests in the world. So, no chance of World War III. Sweet. The participants are a mix of politicians, corporate leaders, bankers, military personnel, and media profiles. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. 2/3 are from Europe, 1/3 is from North America, and of course, Chatham House rule is applied. Participants are allowed to use the information, but not actually say who said what. This is to encourage more free and open discussions, not a complete loss of any input you might have in your elected officials. Bilderberg Group's meeting in Stockholm, security measures. The Swedish police have introduced a special event, Iris, to protect the meeting, of which there is zero other information given in this article, James. Protests. There are reports of planned demonstrations against Bilderberg Group with activists protesting against what they see as undemocratic concentration of power and lack of transparency. One known demonstration will be held on the 14th, Trump's birthday. And yeah, again, will Trump be there? No, but his buddy Peter Thiel, he's got it under control. With a march from Norrmalmstorg to Grand Hotel. Swedish participants, top participants, include corporate leaders and top politicians expected to be present, considering last year's meeting that had, among others, Spotify founder Daniel Ek and Volvo CEO Martin Lundstedt. Again, this lets you know how fundamentally important things like Spotify are to the New World Order. Marcus Wallenberg is among the members of the Bilderberg Group steering committee, and the Wallenberg family also owns the Grand Hotel where the meeting is held. Nice work if you can get it. The Grand Hotel is a 5-star hotel in Stockholm, and it has been a hub for celebrities, grand events, and connoisseurs since 1874. Centrally located in the best possible location with a waterfront. Don't sell me on it. I can't even book a room there. Here you'll find the classic verandan, famous for its smorgasbord, not smorgasborg. That's another word nerd thing. It rustles my jimmies. And star chef Matthias Dahlgren's award-winning restaurants. James, they're really making it sound pretty enticing. We include one other link, Bilderbergers over Stockholm, externalization of the money masters, part 2. And James, even that reminds me, I should brush up on watching Bill Still's classic Money Masters documentary. James, does Bilderberg even matter anymore? As we've said on these shows for the last 15 plus years, maybe this is part of the revelation of the method. They've got their own website, man.
Maybe it's about externalization of the money masters, as Jacob Nordengard has talked about. And in fact, for people who haven't seen it, yes, I just talked to him about this very subject. So I hope people will go and watch that and read his report, because I think he puts it in the right perspective. But yeah, speaking of the website, I do note that BilderbergMeetings.org, of course, the official website of the Bilderberg Group, I believe in the last several years, they've updated in the day or two before the meeting actually takes place with the agenda and the meeting participants. Not this year. It's as we are recording this, 9:43 a.m. Japanese Standard Time on Thursday, June 12th. The meeting is already underway there in Sweden, and yet it has not been updated. We're still looking at 2024's meeting agenda. So I don't know what's going on. Come on, Bilderberg guys. I thought you were being open and transparent with your nonsense these days. Well, maybe not. But if you do want some reporting on that, of course, friend of the Corbett Report, Dan Dix, pressfortruth.ca, is there in Sweden already reporting on it. I note that he has his first video up. I haven't watched it yet, but I will pretty much as soon as we hang up here, James. Bilderberg 2025 and the Grand Lodge of Freemasonry in Stockholm, Sweden. And as I say, I just talked to Jacob Nordengard about his reporting on this. Obviously, he is there in Sweden, and he will be observing the events there in Stockholm specifically. And he points to the fact that, well, we don't have the Bilderberg official agenda yet, but we can get some idea of what might be on that agenda from the trilateral meeting, which of course happened in April. And what was on their agenda? Oh, that's right, an era of revolutions. And of course, speaking of, will Trump be there? No, probably not. But you know who might be? Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, who was there in Washington for the trilateral meeting and was talking, for example, at that time to CFR Chairman David Rubenstein about the era of revolutions and how Trump is the great disruptor. Interesting stuff. So anyway, I'm sure, again, we have talked about this before. It's not like Bilderberg is the be-all and end-all of the global conspiracy and the only thing worth keeping our eye on, but it is at the very least a good reminder of the fact that the political puppet stage is just a puppet show, and that is the distraction they are using to keep you away from the real centers of power and the people who are really making decisions that will really impact your lives. I think Bilderberg is a good way of focusing our attention back on the bigger picture of this. So I will be watching this and seeing what comes out of the reporting of people like Dan Dix and Jacob Nordengard and Charlie Skelton and others who I'm sure will be there. And we'll see what reporting we can get out of it. At any rate, hope and change, era of revolutions, Trump is the great disruptor, AI, Godhead, Peter Thiel, Alex Karp. What else could you ask for in a global conspiracy meeting?
It's got it all. James, do you know off the top of your head, where was it last year?
I want to say Madrid, Spain, but I can actually check as we are. Yes, Madrid, Spain.
I thought it goes 1 year overseas, 1 year in North or South America. It sure feels like they've been avoiding America for the last several years. Is it because they know we love to protest things? And of course, remember, just as soon after this, we get Boho Grove. There it is. New World Next Week, Sigh, to wrap up the episode 593. As we always like to do at the end of these episodes, I like to implore you to head over to newworldnextweek.com for a way to support Media Monarchy and Corbett Report. We've got shirts, we got hats, we got DVDs, we got radio plays, we got digital downloads, all that and more for you at newworldnextweek.com. And of course, also the post office box, the American post office box here. If you don't do the digital banking thing, you can send support to us. Again, just always make a little note about what it is. Also, you can send me your giant collection of magazines from the late 80s. Huge thanks to Josh in Bristol. He sent me some Fangorias from the late 80s. Huge thanks to Josh. I didn't call it media monarchy for nothing. And even though he doesn't want the gore around anymore, he still knows that throwing away magazines and media is a sin. I get the exclusive audio of these New World Next Week episodes that I play on my Media Monarchy stream Thursday mornings after my show before they are published anywhere. It is the exclusive airing. And speaking of little upcoming ideas, James, 2 Saturdays from now is going to be the summer solstice, and it's actually going to be Pork Fest as well. Summer solstice, June 21st. I'm going to do a marathon live video DJ set and call it essentially a fundraiser drive, a membership drive, a fun thing to do. I'm hoping they are actually going to be able to pipe me into Pork Fest for a little bit of that as well. I'm calling it a Midsummer Night's Stream, and it will not be paywall. The idea is I'm going to put it on as many platforms as I can, and you can hopefully buy me a coffee and buy me some crypto and super chats and all that good stuff, because I need a little bit of boosting up here in the Media Monarchy Kingdom. The greenback stack is a little slack as we are heading into our 20th anniversary, because again, I don't have the biggest, fastest wigs band things. James, yeah, it's pretty rough sometimes to feel like I've made a great, independent, non-commercial offering for 20 years, and then you see people that show up and it's like, man, conspiracy is big business, as we have noted these last couple of decades. So that's, again, I'm not super bitter about it. I'm just moving forward. So if everybody can suddenly do a podcast, oh yeah, can you be a radio DJ that's worked at it his entire life? James, I'll keep reminding people about a Midsummer Night's Stream. And I even had a member, because I was a little iffy about it. He gave me the funding to get... You're not the only one getting your social media going. I now have a blue check mark on Twitter because they're going to let me stream DJ songs. I would never get away with it on YouTube. If I could get away with it on YouTube, sure, I'd do that. There's no way that's going to happen. They would shut me down within an hour. But I can pretty much get away with whatever on Twitter, and I will keep reminding people about that. So yeah, James, I got the blue check mark, and I noted it immediately. As soon as I doodly doot, look at all these new follows I'm getting. So they definitely boost you to other blue check marks to start get follows suddenly, James.
James, I appreciate, obviously you are a professional DJ who has been doing it for decades and knows what you're doing, and that's great. But I especially appreciate the titles, and Midsummer Night's Stream. Chef's kiss. That's great. So I will definitely be checking that out. I hope other people will too. We'll obviously remind people about it next week as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that was, again, word nerd. I had been planning this, but as soon as that title came to me, it was like, well, I'm doing it.
You gotta do it if you got the title.
I have to do it now. Castbot said the same thing. It's like, well, this is definitely happening now.
Awesome.
That's New World Next Week, episode 593, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you. Talk to you again.
Take care.